Are you getting a few back this week?
Potentially, yeah. Cam trained well, Taran trained well, so we'll wait and see how he pulls up. I mean, that's the main thing, is how they recover after that. But Cam's passed everything. Taz is good, so yeah. So hopefully we get a couple back.
How's Jad pulled up after the VFL?
A little bit sore, just a bit general body soreness. So again, as we sort of said, I think last week and the week before, we just got to take our time with him because he's missed so much of the pre-season. So I still think he needs some game time under his belt before we consider him for the AFL. The step up's pretty big. The step up at the moment. I think the game's sped up a bit, certainly offensively. So we just got to be careful that we've got the right loading, and obviously our sports science guys will give us that indication.
How have you gone about reviewing last week's performance? Pretty measured, or?
Yeah, pretty measured. I mean, it's a week ago. It's like we're right into the Cats now. Got to get to the game to see Geelong on this week, but yeah, we pulled the first quarter apart and we pulled the second quarter apart. So, a young group's got to find that consistency. So, we've gone to work today at training and through Tuesday as well, just to address some of those areas that we think we can improve. So, yeah, there were still some good positive signs out of it. If you look at I know you got to look at the overall game, but our second and third and our fourth quarter, if you look at that in a little bit of an isolation, which is what we've got to do, then you're around the mark, and we've got to address that first quarter for sure.
You say to the critics who've been pretty harsh on you this week about you perhaps not accelerating the development processes as they would like. What do you say?
I have a bit deeper look at some of the figures. I think our scoring profile shifted to the front half game. I think, in comparison to where we were this time of year, I think there's some metrics, certainly internally, that we think we've actually moved ourselves forward. We played the grand finalist last weekend. We played a red-hot team in Brisbane. So if you look at the other three games, we're in a position to win all three of those games. So I understand the discussion, but I think have a little bit deeper look at the overall broader view of those 5 games.
So are you pleased with your progression?
No, we've made progression. I wouldn't say I'm pleased, but I think we've made some progression. I think it's too easy to say that we haven't progressed further than what we were last year. Progression and improvement is not linear. It doesn't just go on a straight line. I think perhaps there was a bit around coming off the back end of last year where we finished. Our last 4 games weren't that great. We were actually a bit poor in that back end of last year. We probably haven't had the full complement of the group that we want to put together on the park just yet. But we still think we've made improvement.
And is younger sides are vulnerable if some experienced players are the ones who are missing when you caught your injury?
Yeah.
You think you've probably been vulnerable to that, haven't you?
Well, the mids, if you look at the profile of the mids, we've been pretty young in through there. So that's just something that it's great experience, Rob, for those guys to play against the calibre of players that we're playing against. I think Buckets is going really well. I think Nick Larkey, in where he sits in the competition as far as the goal kicking goes. I think some of our young mids that we've got back in, Curtis Taylor, Flinny Perez back in, Jai Simpkins playing well. So there's some real lights and positives that I think are coming out of that. For where we sit in the ladder, to have Nick Larkey sit where he does in the competition means we're getting the ball in, still means we're attacking, and he's pretty efficient in front of goal. So I still think there's a bunch of really positive stuff out there for our members to understand what we're trying to do.
Speaking of mids you're missing, Ben Cunnington's looking pretty good out there. How's he progressing?
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah,
slowly. Again, the main thing is just his health, to make sure that he's okay. When he's ready, he's ready. If that's this year, that's great. If it's next, that's fine too. So we're not in a mad hurry for him. Hasn't done many running sessions. He looks great, which is good, and he's back in helping us with leadership meetings and other areas of contribution, a bit of mentoring. So things are progressing okay.
And his enthusiasm on the track, it looks pretty infectious.
Yeah.
The group.
No, he still loves the game, and misses it, I'm sure, in the not playing. He's been to a few games where we can hear. So it's just great to have his input back around, if nothing else.
And you were speaking about playing last year's grand finalists last week, and you got another massive challenge.
Yeah.
How do you go about tackling that?
Look, same as what we have done the last couple of weeks. I think a large portion of what we're trying to do has got to be about us. That's to get that consistency that Rob was talking about before. You've got to get your own stuff right first. So we've got to go getting the elements that we want, in both contest, defence and offence. Our defence has not been good enough. Our contest is too inconsistent. It's good for Sydney. It's poor in the first quarter. It's okay in the second quarter. So we've got a big piece to do with us first. But, we've got to respect and understand what Geelong are going to bring. Experienced group, They're down in Tassie. We love playing down there. It'll be great to actually get our fans down. We've got an open session on Saturday when we get down there. And yeah, they're a challenge. They're absolutely a challenge. But that's our growth is going to be continue to improve and chase wins. There's no doubt about that. So, but taking on tough teams means that you just learn really quickly, and that's what we want to do this week.